about his demeanor and his state of mind?
I can't right now.
With the public's animosity towards him, is there a possibility that you guys would try to have a trial in a different county?
That's a possibility, but again, I'm brand new to the case, so I don't know a whole lot.
When did you get the case?
Just a few minutes ago.
So you
I was notified yesterday that I would get it today, but I was just informed it was a few minutes ago.
And when did you meet with him?
I met with him yesterday.
What sort of a challenge is a case like this for you as an attorney?
There's a lot of challenges, but again, I don't know much about the case, so I really don't want to comment on it.
Is he distressed, or can you just give us any snippet of
I really don't want to talk about anything that I wasn't communication.
And did he seem sick yesterday?
I really don't want to.
David, the governor said that several of those locations were places of emergencies that he did. Does that make it any tougher for your client?
Again, I was just handed the charges today, so I'm going to need time to look at that complaint and review the charges and review the reports when I get those.
What's your biggest
But I
concern?
have another hearing that is supposed to start at 1:30. I'm waiting.
And
Outdoor voices.
LIFF,
And title, position?
Chief Deputy DA.
And Richard, talk about these charges. We're talking how many fires here?
We're talking 13 incidents, 12 actually causing a fire, and 1 attempt.
Can you talk about, we asked Don this earlier, confirming he was under, the surveillance began for a while before he allegedly started the Clayton fire. Do we have any surveillance units who actually saw him starting that fire, or what if we say we're the stake out against word?
One of the things that we decided, we're going to allow Representative CAL FIRE discuss the issues of the investigation of what happened, and Sheriff Martin.
Cal Fire did the investigation. We're doing the prosecution. So if you have any questions about investigation, then you'll need to talk to the investigators.
Talk about the charges in relation to the Clayton fire. What do you believe he did here?
Set a fire that caused mass destruction in this county.
Deliberately.
Deliberately.
He was sort of flippant in court today. At times he didn't even really answer. He just sort of mumbled. What was your feeling when he responded in that way?
That he was press shy. Didn't want the publicity.
Turned away, didn't want to face the cameras. Do you read anything?
That's what it appeared.
Richard, 13 fires. Have you ever had a case of this magnitude here in this county?
I've actually prosecuted 2 prior serial arsonists for committing similar acts in the county, but they didn't cause the destruction that the Clayton fire did.
Is there any link between this suspect and the Valley Fire, or the Rocky Fire, or the Jerusalem Fire?
The Rocky Fire, Jerusalem Fire, I do not know. The Valley Fire, no.
Can you describe the impact that this has had on your community and why this is such an important case for you?
It just caused devastation. When we announced the arrest a few days ago, there were people sitting in the audience there. They were crying. There were people wanting the defendant hung. I mean, they're just, 175, 200 homes burned, families that lost everything they own. I can't imagine going through that.
Is there any suggestion as to whether or not anybody was intentionally targeted versus just an act of devastation with no particular target?
We have no evidence that any person was intentionally targeted.
What about a motive?
We don't have any information on that right now.
Talk about the enhancements. In particular, there's one that talks about the declaration, the emergency declaration.
Yeah, that's something that it only increases the potential penalty like about 2 years.
But explain.
The most important charge is counts 1 and 2. We charged him with lighting fire with premeditation, deliberation with intent to cause injury or damage. Both of those counts carry a potential 10 years to life sentence.
Any indication
Can
he
you
had any
please clarify,
accomplices, or
is
does
it
he look like he's
13?
acting alone?
I'm sorry.
Any indication he had any accomplices, or was he acting alone?
We believe he was acting alone.
Is it 13 fire or 11 fire? Just to make sure very important.
12 fires and 1 attempt. Now, keep in mind that some of those were very minor, just a few square feet area that were burned, or less than an acre.
But they all had the potential, right? I mean,
They all did.
In your experience, do serial arsonists usually burn their own communities?
Yes.
What?
That's because that's where they live and that's where they operate.
Are you aware that he had a house that burned down in 2013?
I didn't become aware of that until after he was arrested.
And
Scott, can you tell us about the investigation? What
It's an ongoing investigation this time. I cannot get into any of the
We ask-
particulars
Can
because
you
of
move the
what
microphone
you
to the
can
middle?
imagine.
Scott, can you just come up to the microphone?
Again, it's an ongoing investigation. We cannot get into the particulars. We want justice served for this community and the other surrounding communities that have been affected. So we're very adamant to be involved with the DA's office and Brian and the Sheriff's office. We will give them our full cooperation the whole time.
You have
Can you
been
speak to the
watching him
Rocky
for
fire or
12
the
months.
Jerusalem
So
Great
what-
Pardon me?
Fire? Can you speak to whether or not these fires have been lit?
The Rocky was already had a cause. That was the water heater outside. The Valley Fire, again, we had a press conference last week, and that was determined to be electrical wiring.
And what about the Jerusalem?
Jerusalem is still under investigation.
You have been watching this person for 12 months. What led to the suspicion and how intense was the watching him?
Understand that we have a police force within CAL FIRE up and down the whole state of California with investigators. They are equally trained as all law enforcement and then enhanced with the investigation aspect of wildland fires and other fires. Several of them have been under the investigation. I cannot address as to what they did or when they did it. I do want to make sure it's understood that if any of our investigators had seen him start a fire, he would have been immediately arrested.
Can you elaborate on that, the need for probable cause? Because there's some people in the community who say, well, if you were watching him for a year, why wasn't he arrested prior to this most recent fire? But you needed that probable cause. Can you talk about that?
Not at this time.
Do you have any surveillance video showing him actually lighting any of these fires?
I won't get into that. I'm not aware.
Can you talk about the evidence? I mean, how strong is the evidence?
It's very strong. What we have to, as the gentleman here said, he's done a couple serial cases. Those are extremely difficult, and we have to be, and we are very meticulous and very forthright in getting that information, making sure that we have that case and that case will stand.
And just to clarify, are you looking at him potentially for the Jerusalem fire?
We're looking at all fires and all instances that took place. I
that's a
cannot be
yes?
specific.
So he had a house that burned down in 2013.
I'm not aware of that.
Counselor, you said that you had heard of that. What do you know what fire that was associated?
No, it was a house that he lived in.
It's just a
We found that out from him when he was interviewed.
What kind of jail time is he
Yeah, go find it.
The maximum he could get would be somewhere between 24 and 30 years to life. And that would be the maximum.
In the interview with him, did he express remorse? Did he invoke his rights to remain silent? Did he have any thoughts about what he's accused of?
He did not express any remorse whatsoever.
Is he cooperative? Is he cooperating?
In what way?
Is he providing you with any helpful information? Is he?
I can't get into that. There's two reasons why we don't talk about evidence. One, it's an ongoing investigation. It's going to be ongoing for a while. And the other reason is that we don't want to start talking about innocence or guilt or evidence because we don't want to jeopardize his right to a fair trial in front of a jury.
You said he didn't show remorse. Did he deny involvement in any of these fires?
Yes, he denied involvement.
What else did he say?
And that's all I will say.
And
Were
you
there
were certain
witnesses?
nobody else is being looked at this point. He operated alone, you said earlier. Is that for certain?
That's the information I have. I am not the investigator. The DA's office is not the investigating agency. CAL FIRE is doing that.
He's mentioned that at all?
And I would add they've been doing a very good job
acted
of it.
alone.
I can't address that. Again, I don't want to jeopardize this case whatsoever. So what will come out will come out.
Is he involved in any white power organizations? I see on his trailer he had the SS neo-Nazi lightning bolts on his Facebook page. Similar thing. Is that something left over from his years in prison, you think? Or who is this guy?
I have no idea. We will be investigating that.
Sure.
Well, there witnesses to his neighbors and relatives are saying, you know, he didn't do this. He's not that kind of guy. People are shocked that know him. What would you say to them? I mean, are you confident this is your guy?
We are very confident that this is our guy, the serial arsonist alleged, and the year-long investigation will prove it.
Were there witnesses to any of the incidents? Or was there anyone who came forward to provide you with information about him?
Again, I cannot address that.
Were you aware he was trained to fight fires as a prison inmate and your reaction to that?
In 2007, he was in the inmate program. He was there for 2 months. He might have been trained for the first month, but he never went out on the line nor did he participate in any functions of
What prison
that.
was that?
And he was paroled within that 2-month period. I'm not sure where it was.
So
What
he
is your
never fought any
reaction?
fires
Something,
with,
right?
with it.
The idea that he was trained, even though he never made it onto the line to fight fires and now is accused of setting devastating fires, your reaction to that?
Somebody asked me the other day, for an example, how do the firefighters feel about something like this when there is an arson arrest? We're as frustrated as the community members as you can imagine. We are here to serve the public, Brian and I are both, and when something like this happens, it devastates us as well.
Is it difficult to get on those firefighting crews as an inmate?
No, it is. It is difficult, yes, to become a firefighter after that.
There are lots of serial arsonists that have no firefighter training. So I don't really necessarily think the firefighter training, whatever he received, had anything to do with his motive. It may have given him some knowledge about fire behavior or something. I don't know. We're going to investigate that. But at this point in time, we don't have any reason to necessarily believe that's why he's lighting fires.
Was he not sent out on the lines because of a specific reason that you know of while he was in prison? Did he exhibit
No, there was
any
no
behavior?
opportunity. He was there for too short a time. Again, he was paroled after a 2-month period.
Was that a same prison?
Do you know anything about a
Pardon?
Was that a same prison?
I don't know.
Do you know anything about a motive?
No, I do not.
Sheriff, the community's still in turmoil. We're all in a lot of shock. What's the takeaway message from today's arraignment?
The takeaway message is that these are some very serious charges. The charges involve a lot of threat to our community. The judge decided that the enhanced bail of $5 million was appropriate because of the danger posed by the nature of the allegations. It's good to know that he's going to be locked up until he receives a fair trial, and the takeaway should be let the criminal justice system run its course.
Was the sheriff's department involved in the 1-year surveillance of this gentleman?
The sheriff's department provided some support during the investigation, and our involvement became much more active within the last couple of days.
What would you say to the community who says that he's been watched for a year and allowed to continue?
He was not allowed to continue. What I will say, it's not uncommon for criminal investigations. If somebody's committing crimes, it's quite common that we know somebody's committing a crime, and when the time comes that we can identify who's doing that and have enough evidence to support probable cause and bring that person to justice, that's the appropriate time to make an arrest. You get one shot at this. If you take your shot too soon, you jeopardize bringing somebody to justice who truly needs to be brought to justice.
Sheriff, can you spell please your first name and last?
Brian Martin, Brian Martin.
Sheriff Martin, do you have any response to affiliations that this man might have with groups, neo-Nazi groups, white power groups?
I don't have any information about any affiliations he has.
Has he expressed a concern for his safety, and why is he being held in solitary?
We have a concern for his safety. As we saw at the press conference when we announced that an arrest had been made, there was a lot of emotional responses. There's been a lot of chatter on social media. We have an obligation to ensure his safety. One, because it's the right thing to do, and two, because we want to make sure that if he is responsible for these, that he is afforded a trial and that justice is indeed served.
Sheriff, what happened before court? We heard a big rumble. We were all sitting in the courtroom.
I don't know.
Rich, Brian, what percentage of fires set in Lake County do you guys think might have been set by this individual?
I don't know what percentage of fires might have been set by this individual.
And how did the arrest go down? I know you guys took part in that.
The arrest was on a traffic stop. He was taken into custody without incident.
Were you waiting for him to be do a violation or something like that?
I won't get into details of how that went down. He was taken into custody on a traffic stop.
Did he cooperate?
He did not resist. There was, as I say, without incident, he was taken into custody, arrested, transported to the sheriff's office for an interview.
Was he at a location, a hot spot for fires when he left and then was stopped during that?
I won't comment on that.
Is there any evidence that wasn't found in the car?
I won't comment on that.
Is he, how's his health? Can you comment on whether he's being medically treated at all in jail?
All of our inmates are afforded medical care. They go through a medical screening. If there are any health issues that come up, we have medical staff on hand to take care of that.
Others might attempt copycat activities. What would you suggest to our neighbors?
I'd say that if anyone has the idea that they're going to copycat this, look and see what's happening here. CAL FIRE has the finest arson investigators you're going to find anywhere in this country, and they will be brought to justice.
Thank you.
guys have codes.
One of the problems is I do not have any reports yet. I have a summary of fires he allegedly set, but I'm expecting there's going to be thousands of pages of reports and photos and documentation evidence, and it's going to take several months to get all that together. In addition, there's going to be an ongoing investigation. There's going to be people that we still want to talk to about things. At some point in time, we'll set a preliminary hearing, and then after that, a trial will be set. And the trial can take place in 4 months, or it can take place in a year and a half.
Individuals in the public that might have familiarity with this guy, what should they do?
I have nothing that I'm aware of.
They shouldn't bring you information?
If they have something useful, we're getting a lot of calls from people, I think, that want publicity. For example, I had somebody call me this morning and say, well, I have pictures of the Valley Fire. And, the Clayton Fire, we've already got hundreds of pictures of those.
They're trying to do their best, though. You know,
Yeah,
to them,
people
it's
trying to
their way to
help.
help. Yeah.
If somebody thinks they saw something suspicious around the time of these fires, then that would certainly be helpful.
Very good.
I have an opportunity to share.
No, I just want to wish all the victims, you know, the best, and I hope they're able to recover. I really, honestly, it makes me sick to my stomach because I've lived in this county since 1966.
Oh, wow.
And it's a small community. Everybody knows everybody. I know a lot of people. I know people that lost homes in the Valley Fire, and it really makes me sick to my stomach.
It's disgusting. I know. It's just disgusting. I agree.
Thank you.